friends, and welcome back once again to this series of webinars that we are having where we are sharing the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. And today we'll be talking about this topic of purpose of life. And as I was growing up, I always used to think that really is we go to office every day and we have to earn a livelihood and we have to see our children growing, help them, bring to them the resources and everything, and then the children grow up and then they get married and finally we get retired and from our lives, and finally there is that time comes when we have to leave this world. So is there really any purpose of life, or am I really thinking on the right track, or is it some crazy thought which is coming to my mind? And sometimes when I used to share these thoughts with my friends, and some of my friends used to say, "Oh, what is this? There is nothing, there is no purpose, and this is just like life has to go on, and we just have to have fun." And somehow I used to think, okay, maybe I'm not in my same mind to think of these thoughts, but nevertheless these kept cropping up time and again, and it was eventually that. When I read Autobiography of a Yogi, I just found that no, I was not in fact crazy or in any way insane. And these were the valid questions, which can come to anybody's mind. Like, what is this life? Is there really some meaning behind it? Because you see that even a sparrow has, to do the same thing. He has to, rear and nestle his little ones, and the sparrow also teaches the young ones to fly, and finally she builds a nest, and she does everything and helps them to fly and teaches them, and one day the kids of the sparrow also learn to fly, and then they leave the nest and the sparrow goes on with their daily routine. So how am I different from from these birds and animals? And when we start thinking on those lines, that yes, that is the time, I think, when we are really living like a human being. And those questions which somehow when we are living in a social setup, sometimes society doesn't allow you to think about these things, are not the invalid questions, but in fact they are the only sane questions which should come to anybody's mind. And today when I am reading from this chapter, Yogananda's teachings, and he says that the purpose of human life is not marriage and eating and death. To eat and drink and die is the way of the animals. Why live below your true station in life? God gave you intelligence that you might use it properly to solve the mystery of your existence. He made you intelligent that you might develop the discrimination to seek Him. Use this divine gift wisely. Not to do so is to do yourself the greatest possible injustice. So you see, saints like Yogananda, that is the basic reason why they come in this world, because they want to wake up, they want to help us wake up, and because sometimes we are in this deep slumber and we just forget that why are we here? Is this whole existence is really having any purpose of life? Are we really heading somewhere? Is there really any destination where we have to work towards? And all these questions which come to anybody's mind, or some of us minds, that is why people like Yogananda, they come time and again so that they can guide us, so that our life doesn't stay directionless. Otherwise it is a directionless existence, and he's very clearly saying that it won't be different from an animal way of living. So if we have to understand as a human, sometimes this question comes as a scientist, if scientists feel that, oh, this whole thing, this universe has come just as an accident, it has come just like a explosion of a big bang, and everything including the life is just a physical chemical existence. And as a doctor also, when I saw these kind of teaching in the early classes of my biology and biochemistry, sometimes somehow it doesn't used to resonate within me on a deeper level. But then that was it, how they were teaching it to everybody, and so I just took it that way. But only when I read the teachings of Yogananda, that life started making sense to me, and it started, this wisdom started dawning gradually, and this clarity and intelligence slowly started coming from him. That yes, it does make sense, and we will be doing a lot of injustice as a human if we will not be realizing the true purpose of life. But then, what is the true purpose of life? And in the next teaching that he's sharing, he says that the true purpose of life is to know God. Very clearly, he's not mincing his words. He's just saying it keeping it very practical, that these are the best parts of, Yogananda's teachings. And he says that worldly temptations were given to you to help you develop discrimination. Will you prefer sense pleasures or will you choose God? Pleasures seem alluring at first, but if you choose them, sooner or later you will find yourself enmeshed in endless troubles and difficulties. Every human being will have eventually to learn this great lesson of life. Loss of health, of peace of mind, and of happiness is the lot of everyone who succumbs to the lure of sense pleasures, whereas infinite joy is yours once you know God. So this is how Master Teacher is telling us that we are here and the sole purpose of our existence is to find God. And when we see our universe also, it doesn't, you don't have to be genius to find it out that if we have to have a mango, first of all, we have to sow a seed of mango, then only we can have a mango tree. Otherwise, just out of thin air, mango cannot appear. And same way, when we see that there are so many things that we see in this universe, not only from the mineral kingdom, but also, the kind of variety that we have in plants and animals kingdom, and the human beings. And then we see the human traits. We see intelligence, we see wisdom, we see love and peace. There has to be a blueprint. It just cannot come out of the thin air just like that. There has to be a blueprint from which it must have been created. And when we think on those lines, scientific community also now, there is a sect, there is a school of thought in the scientific community which says that no, universe has not come by as an accident, but there is what we call as a theory of intelligent design. And this theory of intelligent design is what our great saints and what our great rishis have always been talking about, that yes, there is a master creator, there is a designer of this universe who has thought, who has created everything around us. And since this creator has created these things for a purpose, so the only purpose of life as human beings is to see that we must remain in tune with our creator. That is how we can put it very simply, that if we, just like a director is directing the movie, and if the job of an actor is to just see what are the directions of the director, and if he's assimilating the guidelines, the directions that director is giving, obviously finally it will be a good teamwork and the movie will come out to be excellent. And that is how as the actors and the characters of this great movie show, we have to be in tune and we have to receive the message of our creator that he's trying to give us. But then the question takes us beyond that how we can do that. How is it possible for us to be in tune with our creator? The first thing which I feel which can help us in this regard is to become more and more silent, and to see that, because we will have to change the direction of our sight. If we will always be busy looking around what is happening around us, then we may not be able to see what is the subtle message that Creator wants to give us. So first we have to slow down a little and to withdraw a little from the world. These are the yoga teachings that great master tell us. And when we withdraw slightly from the world, and when you sit in silence for some time, and then you go within, that is how the Greek scriptures also sometimes say that the kingdom of God is within. And how can we go within? To go within, first of all, we have to be silent, and first of all, we have to be still within us. And when we sit in silence, suddenly we start thinking that, okay, yes, there are so many processes which are going on in my body. I'm breathing, this breath is happening, my heart is ticking all the time. There are certain other processes like my digestion, my circulation, everything is happening. But then how is it happening? What is that intelligent energy which is making it happen? And when we start thinking like that, because we know that it is not because of us that this whole existence is happening. We can't even have our own existence is also not in our control. And slowly we start becoming aware of that energy, that subtle energy, which is keeping us alive. As we also sing in that chant that, what is this life flowing in my veins? What is this consciousness flowing through my brains? What is that power which is flowing through my will? And what is that energy which is flowing through my form? It can't be other than divine. That is how the chant goes. And this is, what is, because when we start seeing like that, sometimes people might think that, oh, meditation is so difficult, how can I meditate? But you see, meditation is not difficult, but it is the most natural activity that we can do. And we have to start from the very basic thing, that, okay, here I am, and the moment I am silent, the moment I go still, the moment, I sit and feel, what is that power which is running inside me, which is making it happen? Suddenly we are falling in tune with that master reality, with that undercurrent, with that underlying reality. And this is how meditation automatically starts happening. So it's not that meditation is something very, a skill, something very unnatural which we have to acquire, but it is a very natural thing which is just always there, but just because we are not aware of it. So suddenly we start becoming aware of it, and we see that this is how meditation happens. And so the second step here comes that when we see that yes, this is the higher energy, and we become aware of it, slowly and slowly, we see that this energy is actually directing all the processes in my body, and it is making my breath happen, it is making my heartbeat happen, and slowly we start having this ability to take a control of this energy. And this is how what we call in yoga the pranayama. Pranayama is nothing but pran means energy and ayam means control, and as a result we start, because you see Swami always used to say that awareness precedes control, and when we become aware of this energy and we try to stay aware of it, then slowly and slowly this energy also we have this ability to direct it. Because you see, this energy is the underlying blueprint of everything. And if you see in the next teaching what Master is saying, that the basic substance of the universe is consciousness. Matter itself was simply thought into existence, first as energy and then as matter. For matter is only energy on a grosser level of manifestation. Modern science has made this discovery. And this is another beautiful aspect of Yogananda's teachings, that he always used to quote scriptures on a scientific background. And when he came in this era, this is very interesting that we have some of the experiments which have been recently done in the realm of quantum physics are just what the saints have discovered. And I would like to share some of these discoveries from quantum physics, where quantum physics is that branch of physics, which deals with the subatomic particles. So where we have, when we see that, okay, yes, everything around us is solid, and it is the atom is the, final reality of these substances. But when you break the atom, you get these subatomic particles, and let us say one of those particles is an electron. And when scientists observed the movement of these electrons, they found a very interesting aspect, that the movement of these electrons is actually dependent on the observer. And this is a very revolutionary thing, which if we can understand, that on the subatomic level, all these particles, they are moving and they keep changing their movement depending upon what kind of thoughts we have and what kind of expectations we have. So that means that there is no objective universe really. In fact, it is all subjective, and just like because you have different thoughts than my thoughts, so you are creating a different universe around yourself as I am creating a different universe for myself. And just like we have about 7 billion people on this planet and they are all having different universes, we can say that they are all having different universes because the subatomic particles are arranging in their outer life proportionate to their expectations. And this very concept alone can actually revolutionize our lives, because this tells us one aspect, that whatever I am thinking, because here Master is also saying the same, that the reality of matter is nothing but energy, and this energy is guided by thoughts. So then whatever I think, somehow sooner or later it starts manifesting. And on one level it can be a very scary thought, because if I feel that life is tough, the subatomic particles, because since I am giving this message, this is what I feel in my heart, that yes, life is very tough, life is difficult, and this is the message going through, which is going into the universe, and subatomic particles are always rearranging themselves in that order, and as a result life will always keep on throwing at me different challenges all the time. Whereas, if I say that no, life is simple, and because I am a child of God, and God is the king, and if God is the king, I am the prince. That is how Yogananda used to say that don't beg from God like a beggar. You are a prince, you are a child of God, and if God is a king, you are a prince. And so you should pray, and not only pray, but you can demand from him that yes, if you feel that this is right, then you can give it to me, and if you feel that this is really what I need, then you will always give me, because as a parent you will not like me to suffer because of any genuine need. And then you see that your perspective for life totally changes, because you see that your creator is nothing but your father or mother. And this in fact is the real true purpose of life, that when we start living in tune with the master creator, suddenly we are reshaping our destiny. This is because when we live in tune with the God, when our thoughts are aligned with him, when our feelings are aligned with him, when we start our day with this feeling that, oh yes God, I am your child, please guide me. What is the right thing to do? Please help me see that. And in that way you will find that God helps us on subtle levels in taking the right decisions, because he is a conscious force. He's there and he's always listening. But then we have to relate to him, and we have to talk to him, and we have to speak to him, and then he will respond. He will respond, and you will be amazed to see that how he can respond to us in so many different ways. And that is how Yogananda says that somehow people day after day keep on living a mechanical life and keep on living a dull and uninspiring life. But when we start bringing God in a daily life, then it can be very enlivening, it can be very enlightening, and you will see that every moment of your life will become meaningful, and not only meaningful, but you will feel fulfilled in your heart always. Because I would like to conclude here with this final statement from Yogananda, and he used to say that what is the use of living in an uninspiring way? Life should be a constant inspiration. To live mechanically is to be dead inside through your body, although your body is still breathing. And finally he says that the purpose of human life is to find God. That is the only reason for our existence. Job, friends, material interests, these things in themselves mean nothing. They can never provide you with true happiness, for the simple reason that them in itself is complete. And that is why that in Bible Jesus says that seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Seek first the giver of all gifts, and you shall receive from him all His gifts of lesser fulfillment. So I think if we start living in tune with the Master Creator, I think all of the lives of all of us will become more and more meaningful and fulfilling. Let us give it a try. As Swami used to say, that let us give God a chance in our lives and then see whether it really works or not.